powerful and difficult language of India. All our scriptures and epics and all our big novels and poems of 500 years, 600 years, 1000 years and 5000 years are written in Sanskrit. Our Vedas are written in Sanskrit. Then our Upanishads, then our Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad are all written in Sanskrit. Then our big poets like Kalidasa and other poets like and writers like Ban wrote Kadambari, he wrote it in Sanskrit. And Kalidasa wrote Sakuntal and other big stories, he wrote it in Sanskrit. Sanskrit is a very difficult, as I said, and powerful language. So 2-line stanzas and 4-line stanzas are called slokas. So I am going to recite slokas in praise of goddess of knowledge, goddess of learning. Now these slokas were written probably 500 years ago or 1000 years ago. But what I am trying to show you, that even in those days, those sages and saints, sadhu, mahatma and tapasviyo, they used to know the value and wealth of learning, that a man is never completed and a man never understands anything that goes on in the world unless until he is properly learned it. So the first few slokas that I am reciting are in praise of learning and knowledge. Now this is how I begin. Ya kundendu tushalhara dhavala, ya subravastravata, ya vina varadanda manditakara, ya sveta padmasana, ya brahma chita shankara vihi prabhuti vihi devaihi sada vandita, sa mam patum bhagavatim saraswatim nishesha jadyapaham. Now this sloka is in praise and worship of the goddess of learning called Saraswati. It says that the goddess Saraswati, who is wearing a white necklace, who is wearing white clothes, who has got an instrument called Veena on her lap, and who is sitting on a white lotus, and who is worshipped by the Trinity gods called Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. Oh, that goddess of knowledge, and that goddess which destroys ignorance in the form of darkness, may please me and may shower its blessing on me, shower her blessings on me. The second sloka says, that is also in favor of Saraswati Devi, goddess of knowledge. It says, Sukalam Brahmavichara Sara Paramadhyam Vina Pustaka Dharinim Jadyantakarapam Haste Spatika Malikam Vidatatim Padmasane Samsthitam Vande Tvam Bhagavatim Saraswatim Buddhi Pradam Sardam. It says the same thing, that O goddess of Saraswati, O goddess Saraswati, destroyer of ignorance, and thereby putting light in my mind, light in my body, and light in my understanding. You are holding Veena, a musical instrument, and a pustak in your hands. You have got pearl necklace in your neck, and you are sitting in a lotus. To such a Saraswati, to such a goddess, I am bowing my head and I am worshipping thyself so that knowledge may enter me. Now the other slokas that I am reciting are in praise of knowledge, as to what is knowledge and how far it is useful, and a person with knowledge what he can do, and a person without knowledge what he cannot do. Esham na vidya na tapo na dhanam na gnanam na shilam na guno na dharma te mrityu loke bhumi bharabhuta manushya rupena mrugasharanti. A person who has no knowledge and a person who does not give in charity, a person who has no character, and a person who has no religion, all these persons are like four-legged creatures, and they are like deers roaming about the world and eating grass and are doing no service to the human beings.
Amat.
ये गમે તા બાબાજી પકડ માં
टाइम नहीं रहता, बसना टाइम नहीं दीजिए आप।
પેલું પકડ હા ઓકે ચંપલ કાઢ નાખી ચંપલ કે બાજુ મૂકો ડેડી જલ્દી હા ઓકે વચ્ચે
Well,
तो कहते शुरू करो।
Yeah, okay.
Now I am reciting some stanzas in Sanskrit.
yeah.
Now Sanskrit is one of the most ancient languages of the world, like Greek. And all our scriptures and books of knowledge, our Gita, Manusmriti, Vedas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavata are written in Sanskrit.
I'm gonna go get
And all our ancient poets and writers like Kalidasa and Vana, Vana wrote Kadambari and some other books of knowledge. And Kalidasa wrote Sakuntala and other books. They are all written in Sanskrit. Now in Sanskrit they are written in prose form and also in poetry form. In poetry form what is written is known as slokas. They are either of 2 lines or of 4 lines. Now I am reciting slokas in praise of goddess Saraswati, that is goddess of knowledge and learning. There are 2 slokas of such praise of goddess, and the rest of the slokas are explaining to the reader and to the man who listens the value of knowledge, as to what knowledge can do and how much value a man of knowledge has, and how much a man without knowledge suffers for want of it. So that is how these slokas, a few slokas I have written down. There are many slokas in praise of goddess Saraswati and in praise of knowledge, but only a few of them I will recite before you. या कुंदेन्दु तुषार हार धवला, या शुभ्रवस्त्रावता, या वीणावरदंड मंडितकरा, या श्वेत पद्मासना, या ब्रह्माच्युत शंकरभिः प्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वंदिता, सा मां पातुं भगवतीं सरस्वतीं निःशेषजाड्यापहाम्. O goddess of learning and knowledge, O goddess Saraswati, you have got a white pearl necklace in your neck, and you are wearing white clothes. You have got a musical instrument called veena in your lap, and you are sitting in a white lotus. You are being worshipped and honored by Trinity gods named Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesha. Oh goddess Saraswati, please, I pray to you to give me knowledge and understanding of the world. The second sloka says, Sukalam Brahmavichara Sara Paramadhyam Vina Pustaka Dharinim Jadyan Takarpam Haste Spatika Malikam Vidatatim Padmasane Sansitam Vande Tvam Bhagavatim Saraswatim Buddhi Pradam Saradam. O goddess of learning, Sarada, you are the destroyer of darkness in the form of want of knowledge, that is ignorance. You have got a pearl necklace round you, you are sitting in a white lotus. May such a goddess give me knowledge and strength to understand the world and the worldly affairs. Now the other slokas that I am saying are in praise of knowledge itself. As to a man without knowledge, what is he like? It says, Esham na vidya na tapo na dhanam, na gnanam na shilam na guno na dharma, te mrityu loke bhui bharabhuta, manushya rupena mrugas chalanti. A man without knowledge and understanding, a man without education, and a man without tapa, and a man without charity, a man without character, and a man without religion. He is like a creature. He is not a human being. He is like a creature with 4 legs, like a deer. And they only eat grass, and they are not of any value to the world as such, and to human beings, and to the other creatures of the world. Second, Mata Satru Pita Veri Yena Balo Patita Na Shobhate Sabha Madhye Hansa Madhye Bako Yatha. The boy who is not educated by his parents, such parents are enemies of that child, and such a son and such a man does not make any progress in the world, and he does not shine out before a group of educated people, just as a crow does not form any impression in a meeting of Hansa, swans. Next, Sunam Pritsamyum Vyartham Jivitam Vidyavina Na Guhya Gopena Shaktam Na Chadansa Devarane. A man without knowledge and learning is like the tail of a dog. A tail of a dog is not able to be of any use to him except wagging. The tail does not drive away the flies and mosquitoes and does not hide his hind parts, and thereby it is, and just as such a tail is useless, a man without knowledge and learning is useless. Next, na choraharyam, na cha rajaharyam, na bhatrubhajyam, na cha bharakari, ve krute vardateva nityam vidya dana sarvadana pradhanam. Here the learning is compared to wealth. Now, the wealth of knowledge is such that a thief cannot steal it. The government cannot ask any taxes on it. The brothers cannot divide, it cannot be divided among 2 or 3 brothers, and it has no weight. And it is such a wealth that more you use it, the more it increases. Thus, the wealth of knowledge is the biggest of wealths. Next, Annadanam, Mahadanam, Vidyadanam, Mahattaram, Annena Kshanika Trupti, Yavat Jivam tu Vidya. The charity in the form of grains and food is quite a big charity. But the charity given to a person by way of knowledge and learning is the biggest charity, because the charity of food vanishes as soon as the food is digested, that is within 1 day, while the charity in the form of knowledge lasts for the whole life. Next, Vidya Nam Narasya Rupamadikam, Vidya Pratsanna Guptam Dhanam, Vidya Bhogakari Yashakari, Vidya Gurunam Guru, Vidya Baddu Chano Videsha Gamane, Vidya Param Daivatam, Vidya Sarvata Pujati Natu Dhanam, Vidya Vihina Pashu. The knowledge is the beauty, is the charm of a person who possesses it. Knowledge is a sacred wealth. Nobody knows by seeing a person whether he has got wealth in his mind and wealth in his understanding or not. Wealth in the form of knowledge and learning. It is the knowledge and learning which gives all material pleasures to human beings. And the knowledge is the biggest teacher of the world. If you go to a foreign country, the knowledge and learning acts as your guide, and it's the knowledge which brings you fortune and good deeds. It is knowledge which is worshipped everywhere and not wealth. And therefore, knowledge and learning are the biggest wealth that a man can possess.
I know.
Okay, that's it.
Fine. We force him back. Leave. No, leave. वो मदद करे कौन उधर मदद करे अनिल के अमल
Okay.
तू सवाल पूछे
I'll give the pillow. That's about it.
कि अमल ने समझाता है ते प्रमाणे जाने
No, you move over.
जाने का
પૂછો તો પૂછે
હા તમે સંસ્કૃતમાં બોલો પછી મને પૂછું કે what does that mean કે શું એનું
Bag! Bag!
શું બોલવાનું
Hey!
બાપુ હવે તમે શું બોલવાના
હવે આ સુભાષિતો છે સુભાષિતો એટલે thoughts of learned people, thoughts regarding knowledge, thoughts regarding behavior, thoughts regarding social behavior, thoughts about relations with wife, children, and the other members of the society, etc.
આવું તમારે ભણવામાં આવતું કે
આ ભણવામાં પણ આવતું. It was there laid down in the text for children also. Plus,
Put a blanket over it.
I have got a book called Subhasito. There are 4,000 such stanzas in that book. They are the collection of all such Subhasitas that are written in different books. The Subhasitas are not written just in
the
one
dining
book.
table chair.
The Subhasitas occurs
Anil too.
in most of our epics and books of knowledge and our novels, poems, etc. So from all those different books, different Subhasitas are collected and compiled into one book. Now out of those books, those book of Subhasitas, different texts take out simple Subhasita for students to understand. And that is how most of these Subhasitas that I am reciting now, I had learned 45 years or 50 years ago when I was a student. Now this is what it says. रे रे चातक सावधान मनसा मित्रं क्षणं श्रूयताम् अम्बोदाः बहुवा सन्ति गगने न सर्वैः तादृशाः क्वचित् वर्षयन्ति आदरन्ति धरणीं बहुवा च केवलं गर्जयन्ति यं यं पश्यसि तस्य तस्य पुरो मा ब्रूहीति नं वचनः. In India there is a bird called Chataka. It's a kind of pied cuckoo. It has got a crest on its head and it belongs to the family of a cuckoo, koel. Now our poets and ancient writers have just imagined that this Chataka bird has got a hole in its throat, and that is why it cannot drink water. If it drinks water, it will come out from its hole. That is why this Chataka Pakshi, that is Chataka bird, waits for the rainy season so that it can keep its mouth up and can drink the falling drops of water from the rain. But then the Chatak does not know as to when the rains will come. The Chatak believes that every cloud that passes over its head has got rains. and if I beg of it, and if I tell it smile, and if I tell that cloud my bad plight or my bad condition, that cloud will give me rains and will be help to me. I will cleanse my trust. So this stanza addresses a Chataka. What does this stanza say? It says that, hey Chataka, please hear me just for a second. I am your friend. It further says that there are many clouds in the sky, but they are not of this. They are not of the same value, because the clouds are of different types. There are some clouds which just passes overhead and does not give rain. There are some clouds. There are very few clouds which has got water in it, and which will throw water on the earth, and the earth will become green. But such clouds are very few. Most of the clouds, they only pass through over your head, and they make a lot of sound by way of thunder. Therefore, yam yam pasyashi tasya tasya puro ma bruhi dinam vachana. Therefore, whatever cloud you see and passes overhead is not going to give you rain. Therefore, you just patiently wait for a good man, and that is in the form of a cloud with rains, to come over your head, and you pray to him. The idea of this stanza is that anybody should not try to explain to everybody the poor or the bad condition in which circumstances has brought him. See, that is the idea of this. Yam yam pasyashi tasya tasya puro ma bruhi dinam vachana. Whomever you see, do not explain your poor position, your poorness, or your bad plight to everybody that you meet. Only person who are friends and who are likely to be of useful to you, only before such persons a man should explain his plight and ask for help, not from everybody. That's the idea behind these stanzas. The next one says, Vajradapi kathorani mruduni kusumadapi lokottaranam chetansi kohi jatum arhati. Now this stanza was written addressing Rama. Rama is one of the main characters of the epics called Ramayana. There it is said that the hearts of very big people and noble people and of saints and of people with position and power, their hearts are as soft as a petal of a flower whenever it is necessary. And those same hearts which are soft as a petal of a flower can become as hard as a stone also if the time comes. And therefore, the hearts of big people, they may be kings, or they may be saints, or they may be big characters of novels and epics, cannot be understood by an ordinary man. Next it says, Arthanasam manastapam gruhe dussaritani cha apamanam venchanam chaiva buddhimanana prakasayat. Now this is an advice given to a worldly person as to what he should not disclose. See, our saints were so wise that they have laid down small, simple norms of behavior, that a worldly person should disclose so many things and should not disclose the following things. Now this stanza says what a worldly man should not disclose. It says arthanasam, that is loss of money. If you lose money, don't tell anybody, keep it a secret. It says that if you have got worries, which worry you and which make you miserable, don't tell anybody, keep it a secret. It says that if your wife has misbehaved, or if your husband has misbehaved, or if your children has misbehaved, such a behavior should be kept a secret and should not be told anybody. Further it says apamanam, that is insult. Then venchanam, that is cheating. If you are cheated, it's likely that we will be cheated by some cheats, or by our own folly we may be cheated, either in a shop or as a neighbor, or at a place where we are working. It is likely that will be cheated. Such cheating and such an insult should be kept a secret and should not be exposed. We should not tell anybody that I am cheated like this. We should not tell anybody that such man insulted me like this. You should not tell anybody that I have lost so much money in such deal. And you should not tell anybody that your son misbehaved, or your wife misbehaved, or your husband misbehaved, either by way of morals, it may be characters, or it may be the normal behavior of a person. And lastly, manastapam, whatever anxieties we have got, whatever bad thoughts that are passing through our mind, whatever circumstances that are bothering you, you should keep it a secret. You should try to find its own solution in your own way and should not expose it. Next, Uday Savita Raktau Raktas Astame Tata Sampattau Cha Vipattau Cha Mahatam Ekarupata. It says that the sun, when it rises, is red and violet and yellow in color. And the same sun, when it sets, has got the same colors of red, yellow and violet. Thereby, the man who wrote this stanza wants to prove that even when a man rises, he should not be elated. And when a man falls, he should not feel depressed. And thus, this stanza says that sampattau cha vipattau cha, a man in wealth or in poor condition should behave similarly with poise and composure. Next, vittasya tritiya gati danam bhogam nasascha yena dadati na bhungte tasya tritiya gati bhavati. This sloka says that the wealth, material wealth, has got three motions. Either you give it in charity and part with it, or you enjoy it with material pleasures and part with it, or it will be destroyed by itself and will part from you and will go away. Therefore, this stanza further says that the man who does not give it in charity and the man who does not enjoy wealth by material pleasures, only the third gati, the third moment, comes into effect, that is nasa, that is destroying. It will be destroyed by itself. Next, श्लोकार्थेन परोक्षामि कथितो यह ग्रंथकोटिभिः परोपकार पूर्णाय पापाय परपीडनम. Here is a very good and nice definition as to what is good and what is bad. A very simple definition it has given, that when a man behaves, how to say that his behavior is good to the society and how to say that his behavior is bad to the society or harmful to the society. The sloka says that this explanation and this definition is laid down in thousands of books, but don't read those 1,000 books. I am going to explain you that in only one sentence and only half a sentence. It says that anything that you do punya, that is obligation to others, is good. And anything where you harm the opposite man or opposite creature or the opposite vegetation or the opposite nation or the opposite self, whatever that may be, is bad and is papa, is sin.
Okay, okay.
I asked it.
એક મિનિટ, હવે શ્લોકો તમે સ્કૂલમાં ભણેલા, કાં ભણેલા, કે ચોપડી વાંચેલો, કે કેવી રીતે આવડે?
ભણેલો એટલે સ્કૂલમાં, એટલે મારી 12-14 વર્ષની ઉંમરે ભણેલો, 15-16-17 વર્ષની ઉંમર સુધી ભણેલો. કારણ કે ત્યાં there in those schools Sanskrit was the second language over and above English. English was the medium of instruction, but we are required to take one language like Sanskrit, Persian, Gujarati or Maghdi as second language. And I had taken Sanskrit as second language, and therefore I had learned so many slokas in my school days. Over and above, because I had some knowledge of Sanskrit, basic knowledge, I have got liking for it, and that is why I will read many books where slokas and such subhasitas are given. and the books where the praise and worship of different gods and goddesses are given. And that is how I have been collecting these slokas and keeping them kantastha. That means I remember those slokas, keeping in the memory and reciting by memory. So I have written down here for my children, you see.
Sanskrit ભણેલા તો how many years did you study in the school?
In the school, out of 5 periods, only 1 period was of Sanskrit. That means out of 5 hours stay in the school, only 1 hour was devoted to Sanskrit. That is about 1/5, and that too only for 4 years.
Of which grade?
Grade will be 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Tell me about the Sanskrit language. Where did it come from, and why is
Sanskrit is one of the most ancient languages of the world, and Sanskrit belongs to India. It's a very powerful language. It has got a very big dictionary, and it is very difficult to learn because the grammar is very complicated. And though there are many books written in Sanskrit, in ancient days there are no printing, and therefore all the knowledge which was laid down in Sanskrit is written in handwriting, that is manuscripts. And most of those manuscripts have been stolen by the Britishers and by the Germans and by Dutch people who invaded India 200, 400, 500 years ago. But the Sanskrit, being a very powerful language, still persists, and there are many learned people, not only in India, but even in Germany and England. Even today there are PhDs who can give a lecture for 2 hours only in Sanskrit. They are foreigners, but still they have learned Sanskrit, and they are so learned people. Now, Sanskrit being the original language and ancient language of India, all our books of religion and all our scriptures and all our mythological stories are written in Sanskrit. Though now they are all translated in different languages of the world and different languages of India. Now I am reading a further sloka. This sloka is taken from Upanishad. Now it explains you how a man should behave in the society. Even in those days, saints and learned people knew that a man is a social creature, and therefore it has laid down certain norms and certain behavior that a man should follow to form a cohesion and strong society. It says, Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanau Punattu, Sahaviryam Karvavai, Tejasvina Dhitanavamastu, Ma Vidushavai. It says to all the beings, human beings, that let us join together, let us work together, let us earn together, and let us enjoy together. It may be either by way of collecting food, it may be either way of collecting wealth, or it may be either way of being useful to each other. It further says that those who have got more intelligence and more experience and more power, let them also help us, and let us take advice and help from those people. And let us be cooperative, and let us not fight among each other. That is what this stanza says. It's a very nice stanza. Next it says, Angam Galitam Palitam Mundam. Next it says, Angam Galitam Palitam Mundam, Dasana Vihinam Jatam Tundam, Vruddho Yati Gruhitva Dandam, Tatapina Munchati Asha Pindam. This stanza says as to how much desire, a strong desire that everybody has got. Either that man may be a young man or an old man. That man may not be able to even to walk and to see and to hear. He may be such an old man. He may be suffering from so many diseases. Still he does not want to die. It says, it explains and gives a description of such a person. It says that a man whose whole body has been melted. That means he cannot read, he cannot Here he cannot see, he cannot walk, and he cannot hold anything in his hand. And his whole head has become white, and he is not able to find directions either by way of mind or by way of body. Such an old man comes home. Why does he come home? Because he does not want to die. And his wishes, asa, that is thirst for life and thirst for wealth and thirst for worldly pleasures, has not left him yet. Further it says, Shaile Shaile na manikyam, Mautikyam na gaje gaje, Sadhavo nahi sarvatra, Chandanam na vane vane. It says that manikya, that means a kind of very costly jewel, is not found everywhere that you dig. In every stony mountain or in every stony ground or in every mine, the diamonds are not found. Then in our Hindu mythology there are stories. Those stories says that an elephant has got a pearl in its head. Now this is a false story, but that is what the writers had imagined. So it says that in every elephant you will not find a pearl. Only a few elephants, and the rare elephant will have a pearl. It also says that sadhu purusha, that means a man of learning and knowledge and a man of understanding and a man of experience, is not found. Most of the people, they just form a crowd, but an intelligent people are very rare. And it also says that in every forest, sandal tree is not found. Chandana is not found in every vana. Vana means forest. So this stanza wants to establish that there are very few good people and there are very few good things in the world. And you don't find these things everywhere that you go. You have to search for it and you have to strive for it. Now it further says, Vidyarthina kuto sukham, sukharthina kuto vidya, dhanarthina kuto nidra, nidrathina kuto dhanam. It says that a student has no pleasure. He cannot have pleasure. That means material pleasure, if I want to enjoy, you should stop being a student. And it says that the man who wants to enjoy material pleasures, he cannot have knowledge. That means the student must leave everything and should put all his mind and all his body and all his efforts in earning knowledge only. It further says that a man who earns wealth, he cannot have sleep. And the man who wants to earn sleep, he cannot have wealth. Further it says, Uttama Atmana Khyata, Pitru Khyata Madhyama, Adamaha Bratula Khyata, Sasur Khyata Adama Adamaha. It says that a man who is known by his own good deeds is the best man. And the man who is known not by his deeds but by the good deeds of his father, he is a man of middle caliber. And the man who is known by the good deeds of his brother and who himself hasn't got good deeds is a downtrodden person. And the man who is not known by his good deeds but by the good deeds of his father-in-law is the worst man that can ever live in this world. It further says, Kala Sastra Vinodena Kalo Kachati Dhimatam Kalahena Visanena Cha Nidrayatu Murkhana. It says that the person with knowledge and understanding and the person with learning, how does he pass his extra time? He passes his extra time by Kala Sastra, that means by art and by books of knowledge and by humor and by pleasing others. But a foolish person who does not know how to pass his bad extra time, he passes such an extra time either by fighting and quarreling, by addicting himself to drugs, and to wines and intoxicating things, and by sleeping, he will pass away his extra time just by sleep. That means these are the signs of a foolish person. It further says, Kala Sastra Vinodena Kalo Kachati Dhimatam. Further it says, Kala Sangita Vinodena Yuti Nam Jalilaya Manona Vidyate Yasha Sayogi Athva Pasu. It says that a person whose mind cannot be pierced or his attention cannot be drawn by kala, means art, by sangit, that is music, and by vinodana, that is humor, and by the presence of a young woman. Such a person, if he is not attracted by these four things, either he is a great saint or he is a damn fool and a beast. See how he has compared the lack of knowledge in two different persons. Now, further it says, Sa bharyaya priyambhute, Sa vidyaya vimuktaye, Sa putra yena nivritti, So deso yatra jivitam. Now here it gives a very short definition of four different aspects of life. It says, Sa bharyaya priyambhute. It is the best wife who speaks sweet things to the husband and to the children. That knowledge is the best knowledge, and that learning is the best learning, which takes us out of ignorance and which takes us out of darkness. It further says, Saha putra yena nivritti. That son is the best son who gives nivritti, that means pension, that means who takes away the burden of the father by way of his mind activities or by way of his bodily activities and gives him rest. That is the best son. And what is the best? This, the country. It is the best country to a man where he lives and passes his whole life. It may be his own country or maybe a foreign country, but the country where he lives, that is his country and that is his native place. Then it further says, that is also regarding a man with a family and an advice. Ku grama vasa, ku janasya seva, ku bhojanam krodamukhi cha bharya, davanti nunam manujam vinagnim. These four things are like fire. What are those four things? Ku grama vasa, living in a village inhabited by bad people, by bad characters. Ku janasya seva, that means service of a person who is a bad guy, who is a bad in character. That means you must serve a good master. Then ku bhojanam, if you eat wholesome and good food, and you should not eat bad food. Then krodha mukhi cha bharya, the wife should not be krodha mukhi, means should not be a woman with anger. So, in other words, it says that life in a bad village, service to a bad employer, and food from which is not nourishing, and a wife which is of angry nature. These four things burn a man without fire. Dahanti nunam manujam vinagnim, agni vina, pade che. The next, now this says, this cites four satru, that is four enemies of a worldly person. What are those four enemies? Runakarta, Pita Satru, Mata Satru, Vyavicharini, Rupavati, Bharya Satru, Putra Satru, Avidvanascha. It says that father is an enemy, that father who leaves death to his sons and to his progeny. It says that mother is an enemy to its progeny, to her progeny. That mother who is not of a good character and who has not given good behavior knowledge, that is sanskara, to his children. It further says, Rupavati Bharya Satru, that wife, which is very beautiful and exceptionally beautiful, works as an enemy to her husband. It further says that putra satru adhyuna avidvanascha. That son behaves or becomes enemy of the father who is not educated. Avidvan putra, that is son, is like an enemy to his parents. Then here is a sloka which gives an aspect of son-in-laws. In foreign countries, Western countries, the son-in-law is not a burden and is not a person of terror to the in-laws. But in India, the son-in-laws are a terror to the in-laws. And this sloka is devoted to son-in-laws. It says, Sada ugraha, Sada tapta, Sada asantushta, Sada puja naivedyam apekshate, Kadlyarasim sthito bhagavan jamata dasamograha. It says that a son-in-law is always ugra, is always angry, is always hot-tempered, is always not satisfied, unsatisfied. He always accepts or expects wealth and material pleasures and money from the in-laws. Such a son-in-law is like a ninth planet harming that human being on whom it casts his shadow. Then it further says, Dana vriddha, vayo vriddha, echa vriddha, bahusruta, sarve te dhanvriddhanam dware tishtanti kinkaraha. Before this, I recited you some slokas where a man with knowledge was praised. That means learning and knowledge were praised. Now here it is just the opposite. Here it says that a man with knowledge, that means the man who has become old by acquiring knowledge, the man who has become old by acquiring years after him, that means an old man, and a man who has become old by experience. All these people, they stand before the house of a rich man as his servants. Now, this is just to explain the plight of people who, though they are learned, has to go and stand and ask for services of a rich person. Now further it says, Yasya nasti swayam prajna sastram tasya karoti kim lochanabhyam vihinasya darpanam kim karishyati. It says that a man who hasn't got his own intelligence and who does not understand things in his own way, what are the books of knowledge? How are the books of knowledge going to help him? It says that a person or a woman who is blind, how is that woman going to enjoy the beauty of the bangle on her own hand? That means if you want to enjoy the kankana, that means the bangle on their hand, she must be able to see. A blind woman cannot do it. And even if you give her a mirror, if she is blind, that mirror is of no use. Similarly, a man who has no intelligence of his own, books of knowledge are not going to help him. Further it says,